Hey, welcome back to Kingdom 360 with your host, Grand Inquisitor Zane Venturi. Now, today I want to talk about the subject of the silent treatment. Now, some of you may have been victims of this phenomenon, the silent treatment. It's usually, sometimes it can happen to a family member, or sometimes it can be with a partner you may be married to, or he or she is a boyfriend or girlfriend, and without any reason, or maybe a reason, that you've had an argument, they just shut you down completely cold. They just go silent on you. They won't pick up the phone, reply to your emails or texts, and basically slowly drive you, or try to drive you insane. You may even call them and they don't call back for like days, weeks, even months. So I wanted this little vlog to go into the reasons as to why people do this, and how possibly countermeasures against the situation when it happens. The silent treatment is a form of passive aggressive emotional abuse, basically, and it's there to gain the perceived upper hand over the other person. I say perceived upper hand because you can only get the upper hand, psychological upper hand over another person, is if that other person allows it. So if that other person allows it, there's a dynamic going on. I cannot control you unless you allow me to control you. So there's a bit of to-ing and fro-ing. And if you're not used to this, it can be it's like a forest fire in your mind. It completely fries your brain. So not only that, it degrades your sense of self and can cripple you, especially if you've invested your heart and your soul and everything else into the relationship, and then the other partner does that to you. Now, more often than not, if they totally disappear off the scene, it's usually because they've got another love interest, and what they want to do is they want to investigate this other love interest, but they still want to keep you in the background while they explore this other love interest. And so, be mean to you and keep you keen while they go and, dip their toe somewhere else. And then when they feel like it, they've got that option to come back. But on the other hand, what it's done to you, it's just left you in to pieces. Now, whether they are aware themselves of how much damage they're causing, some maybe do, some maybe don't. The worst thing is if they do, then they'll probably get some kind of narcissistic pleasure from it. And if this happens, then there are countermeasures in place. Basically, the reason they like to do it is for them it's a strategy for getting control, right? So they're employing how I like to look at it is a strategy. What you need to do is have a counter strategy for this. Now, the thing upmost and foremost is, when someone does this to you, especially if it's a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, the most important thing to do is not take it personally. Now, the reason I say this is usually people who do this suffer from some kind of an illness, NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, and that's what some of their patterns of behavioral patterns are. They'll do stuff like that to you, and you need to have a countermeasure in place. Now, the best countermeasure for someone who does the silent treatment, and this is the irony, is they're actually doing the thing that they would hate having done to themselves. They would absolutely destroy them if you did the opposite back. It would drive them crazy. So if you feel that you're a victim of the silent treatment and you have tried to communicate that with that person to no avail, then for you to move forwards, you would have to go no contact. Go no contact, and if possible, put your life back together and carry on. If you see them in the street or anything like that, again, the best countermeasure is to make out everything is fine. They've done this to get a reaction out of you, to keep you on edge. The counter to that is to make them look like nothing has happened. It's not even bothered you. Now, that's great on the surface. Inside, you've been shattered. You've been ripped, stripped, and torn apart by these actions. But also, what I'd like to say is, what they've also done in a way is found an inherent weakness within you, that you are susceptible to this. And as a human being, our psychological makeup, we are susceptible to this. The whole thing about the silent treatment is very similar to how if a prisoner misbehaves, they'll keep him in isolation, in an isolation ward, isolated. It drives the prisoners bonkers. They don't like it. So, it's kind of similar to that. So for you to recover and send out a strong message back to that person is, look, you tried it. You tried to push the boundaries and it's backfired on you. I know what you're about. Simple as that. I know what you're about. And the best thing to do is you've discovered that person, we as human beings all need love. But for someone who does that to you, proves the point that they don't have the capacity to love. It's not there. So don't try looking for something that isn't there. They're not capable. Because of that, that's why they are capable of the silent treatment. Where they can't love, they can do the complete opposite. They can show you affection to get what they want, but after that, they'll discard you. It's as simple as that. Don't question yourself, what did I do wrong, or if I did this wouldn't happen, or if I did that wouldn't happen, or maybe you'll drive yourself crazy. The thing is, they'll do it. If it's within their capability, they'll do it. As normal functioning human beings, we're not healthy functioning human beings, we can't actually, it's very difficult for us to do that for someone we care about. When they don't care about you, it's not that you're not a person that someone can't care for. It's not that you're horrible or anything like that. Turn it back round, it's them. Okay? If somebody has a knife and they try to stab it in you, it means they're capable of stabbing you. Right? That's what they're capable of. It is what it is, right? So, again, to counter it, just shut them down. Give them a taste of their own medicine while you recover. And find somebody. The whole thing about it is you may love them, but what you need to do is counter it by finding someone who loves you more than they ever did. That's what you need to do to compensate for what's happened there. A lot of people, when they meet people with NPD, afterwards they can become quite bitter people, or their personality changes. They can be quite defensive and abrupt. Sometimes they can be quite bitchy. It's a self-defense mechanism. Take me as I am or don't. But again, you've kind of become a weaker person, not stronger. The way I suggest is, and one of the things about Kingdom 360 is, when you're with someone, observe but do not absorb. Watch what they do, watch how they act, and just become that sharper, more conscious person about you. And so when that situation ever arises again where they try the silent treatment on you, you're ready for it. You handle it like a boss, like a CEO. You just like, oh, is that the best you can do? Okay, you know, what they've effectively done is they've basically thrown themselves out of the relationship. They've actually saved you the trouble of telling them to get out. They've got out themselves, and that's the beauty of it, and that's what you've got to understand. They would make the most amazing trash cans or dustbins. They have the unique ability of throwing themselves out of the relationship. It's up to you whether you let them back in, but they have this beautiful, and they'll give you every sorry excuse in the world for what they did. There is no sorry excuse. It's such a form of aggressive passive behavior, the most aggressive. You know, I don't think there is anything as strong as what they can do to you. But you know, because we're empathetic and forgiving people, they know they can do it to us, and they have that margin of error where they know that I think we could be forgiven for that, and they'll do it again. Best advice is to move on and be happy with someone else, and that is the reversal back on them. What they want you to do is just be sitting there looking at the phone, wondering, or at your mobile phone, wondering where you're going to text or contact them. Really? You don't want to be in that position. If you can walk away and reconstruct another healthy relationship with somebody who's healthy in their thinking and belief systems, that's going to be a long-term positive relationship. You see, not everybody's like that. It's not that, you know, the opposite sex, you know, men or women are bad. They're just some people who have very unhealthy ways of dealing with things, and these are people that you may not realize at first, but over time you'll get to know. Everybody meets them. It's unfortunate that sometimes if you're a vulnerable person, you'll meet people like that, and they will tear you to pieces because of the silent treatment and other things. You may have invested a lot in a relationship, and then they turn around and do this to you. But if you form certain strategies in your life, you can become that stronger person. It's all about strategies. When someone does something, you need to have that counterplay there. It's like, you know, no different from if you're in, you know, a board game like chess. Someone's made a move, there's a counter move, or an argument, or in court someone said something, you counter argue it. There needs to be a counterplay. But what is involved is your emotions, and you trying to contain them and not let them overrule you. It can be quite empowering if you can walk away and form something beautiful from it. You know, every story, every book has when you read a book, whatever, has a character curve, an up and a down. But as long as you have a happy ending, and that's what we're all fighting for, you got to kiss many frogs to find a prince or a princess. It's just the way it is, right? And that's the same thing about relationships. You'll meet a lot of bad frogs, and then one day you'll mate a prince. But when you do meet that prince, the bad habits that are formed are when you start punishing that person for what every other guy or gal did. That's just not right. And the irony is, you become the very person that hurt you in the first place. And then if that person walks away from you, then what are you left with? Nothing. You end up, people who play these mind games, play the silent treatment and so forth, they usually end up with a person that they're not really happy with. And then they kind of look back and think, you know what, that person that I knew all those years back, you know, however many, 10, 15, 18 years back, 20 years back, you know what, he or she was, that was the person I should have actually made a real effort with. But that's all in hindsight or retrospect, isn't it? You know, you look back, they'll look back and they think, and now I'm stuck with this person. And because I'm of an age where, you know, I can't go out and pick somebody up and form a long-term relationship like I could before, you know, either I'm going to end up old and miserable and on my own, or I'm going to be stuck with this person. So what you've got to do is, when these people come to you, you've got to sit down, hang tough, have your countermeasure in place. If they try the silent treatment on you, you've got to play it right back at them and carry on with your life, meet other people. It's interesting, what they actually do is, when they walk out or do the silent treatment on you, what they're actually doing is inviting you to share yourself with other people. And in a way, you've got to look at it like this, it's an opportunity. You know, it's an opportunity to meet other people, hopefully more rewarding and fulfilling people. The thing is, the final conclusion I'd like to put on this is that they walk away to make themselves feel big, feel tall. But if you don't follow them, you'll remind them of how small they really are. It's like a fading old rock star that everybody's going to forget. And on that note, guys, I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you for watching.